Hello? Hey, Tommy. What? No one uses rotary phones anymore? What year is this anyway? Oh my, well I guess I better go get a smartphone then. But I love turning this little dial. As we have learned, the internet created challenges to traditional media. Today's internet is built around smartphones, apps, and user-generated content. Out of this shift came emojis, clickbait, cookies, GPS location finders, as well as a whole host of surveillance software embedded into the apps and into the devices themselves. The new internet would become centered around smartphones, which utilize software applications, or apps. It would also be centered around social media platforms, which relied on user-generated and shared content to make its shareholders profits. This created something new, the data economy. And rotary phones? Well, those clunkers ended up in yard sales or rubbish bins. In today's lesson, you will evaluate the impact of the data economy on privacy rights around the world. The essential question for today is this: how has the rise of the data economy impacted privacy rights? Let's dig in. Let's talk Turkey. The profitability of digital media has created yet another challenge to our social and democratic norms. Today, challenges to privacy have drastically increased as data has become the world's most important commodity. Long past are the days when people's data was only used for advertising purposes. And the more we continue to freely provide our personal data to the internet, the more our data becomes a powerful tool for profit and for power. Today, two phenomena in particular create the data economy and, in turn, blur the line between the private interests and the public sphere. First, the monetization of the internet has made user data one of the most important commodities in the world. Second, the amount of data produced provides governments with additional opportunities to surveil populations. It is often said that if you do not pay for the app, you are the thing being bought and sold. This is because your activity on the app is far more valuable than your money. Because most of these services are free, the user itself creates the business model by producing sellable data. And at first, the user data was collected and sold for advertising dollars. We are all familiar with targeted ads that are based on our search history and social media likes. However, the role of data has become increasingly more important as the main source of revenue. Today, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth devices are everywhere, and they communicate with your phone or device even if you aren't actively using them. This is why you may drive by a certain store and receive an ad for it on your phone. Kinda creepy, huh? We've seen this business model bring unintended side effects, such as the amplification of disinformation and extremism, both of which continue to cause further dramatic political divides. So, there it is. People are saying data is the new oil, or put another way, data, more than anything else, is becoming the central commodity of today's world. Almost all Wi-Fi-enabled devices are designed to mine data that is then uploaded to cloud-based storage, is packaged, and then sold. Camera-based doorbells, treadmills, and even sidewalks in smart cities all are connected to the cloud, and thereby have their data stored in a place accessible to anyone with the right permissions or tools. App services that you would assume as being non-data collectors, like your phone's camera app, are in fact also data collectors. Don't believe us? Well, in a 2021 FTC report to Congress, the Commission cited a complaint against a photo storage and organization app called EverAlbum Incorporated for using deceptive practices to obtain facial recognition data from its users. Still don't believe us? Let's talk about something you might think is unrelated: addiction. Addiction to opioids rose during the pandemic, and so did the use of apps which provide help in treating the addiction. These apps sound like a good thing, right? Well, a 2021 study of these opioid addiction treatment apps found that they were collecting data as well as sharing what is known as unique identifiers about their users to third parties. Unique identifiers enable an individual data profile to be constructed for users, which reveals who has provided what data. And this happened even though many of the companies claimed their apps had rendered the data harmless and impersonal. As the FTC noted in their 2021 report to Congress, data collection through deceptive practices like these violates federal privacy statutes as well as diminishes competition. This is because this collecting and sharing of private info allows companies to gain larger and larger amounts of market share. It's not just securing, but controlling data that has become a top priority for national security, just like oil during the Cold War. China's tight control of media and tech corporations gives it the ability to have access to large amounts of data. And with globalism being the reality of the world's economies, these kinds of practices force Western democracies into the competition for control over national data. Time to show what you know. What is meant by the monetization of the internet? What issues does this process create for democracies? If you step back and think about how drastically the world has changed in the past 30 years compared to any other time period, your head might start to spin. And with the rise of the big data economy, changes in national security strategies over the control of data, also called data sovereignty, has become a vital priority of the public and private sectors. Initially understood as combating the war on terror, access to metadata, as well as individual data, provides government a powerful tool to monitor its citizens and, to an extent, control information companies. Metadata refers to sets of data that give information on other data. In Western democracies, governments are restricted by constitutional limitations such as search warrants and probable cause. Having access to private data enables governments to go around these limitations. Let's take a look at how the government does this. Section 215 of the Patriot Act allows the government to request court orders from secret courts, known as foreign intelligence surveillance courts, requiring companies to release any tangible things so long as there are reasonable grounds to believe that the tangible things sought are relevant to an authorized investigation. This section of the Patriot Act has led to a set of programs known as PRISM that collect internet and telecommunications data from service providers. Most of what is understood about PRISM comes from Edward Snowden's 2013 leaks to The Guardian, which detailed the extent to which the National Security Agency surveils American citizens' cell phone records. Snowden, a NSA contractor, considered himself a whistleblower, but the US government charged him for treason under the Espionage Act. What his leaks exposed was the fact that FISA court orders required companies to release to the NSA metadata on all of their customers on a daily basis. Analysts could then access the data without further court orders. These orders did not grant the content of the communications to be released, but rather details such as the duration of communications and points of origin. Feel like someone's watching you yet? But wait, there's more. The leaks revealed another program authorized under Section 702 of the Foreign Surveillance Act Amendments of 2008, which, according to a New York Times report, accessed the content of communications that crossed borders, such as emails and texts. In 2020, the Ninth Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals ruled that many of the NSA's PRISM programs were in fact a violation of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act and were therefore potentially unconstitutional. As you can see, data sovereignty places companies who intend to profit from the data as an unaccountable wing of the federal government that blurs the line between public and private sectors. To this point, businesses are willing to abide by the government in order to maintain favorable relations, helping them secure lucrative contracts and favorable regulation. In turn, governments are obliged to allow companies to monetize processes that extract data and safeguard them from liability rather than protecting privacy. Data sovereignty creates a clear tension between national security strategies and the privacy standards of our democratic traditions and culture. Time for another Show What You Know. What is data sovereignty? How does it impact constitutional rights such as privacy? Why does it blur the line between private interests and the public sphere? Now, data collection for advertising purposes has typically been an accepted annoyance, as long as that data does not reveal personal identifiers, health information, or family information. But data sharing outside of advertisers for political purposes, to create digital profiles, vital health statistics, or with law enforcement agencies at the different levels of government brings into question the degradation of privacy rights. In the mid-2010s, a political consultant firm, Cambridge Analytica, was given access to digital psychological profiles created through an app called This Is Your Digital Life. The information was used to influence elections. Take a look at the PDF to find out what exactly happened. Companies such as Facebook have come under fire for tracking user activity on other sites and apps. Facebook argues that users agree to the terms and agreements, which include data policy. Facebook has also come under fire for tracking non-user activity without consent. In fact, in 2015, the Belgian Privacy Commission ordered Facebook to stop tracking non-users on Belgian soil. But Facebook claims that the tracking of non-users is to ensure the security of their data. And the reach of tech continues into even more parts of our lives. Facial recognition technology, digital health IDs, and digital wallets are combining to create a digital identity and ecosystem that can amount to a form of public and private social control. In fact, many point to China's social credit system as a dystopian future for Western democracies. The challenge is to rethink the role of technology in society and the importance of privacy to a civil, liberal democracy. Each individual has to become educated on the role of data today, the policies of the cell phone makers, carriers, platforms, and apps to better control their private data. Each individual needs to be aware of the current federal and state regulations regarding data mining and its use. Finally, we need to ask questions in order to develop policy opinions regarding private data mining and sharing, as well as the private-public relationships that determine the way in which our data is used. Finally, be sure to go to the PDF to explore the patchwork of privacy laws in America. For the final Show What You Know, we want you to answer the essential question. How has the rise of the data economy impacted privacy rights? Today we learned that data is fast becoming the dominant commodity as information technology remakes the world. This has blurred the lines between private interests and government, which threatens individual privacy. The data says it's time to end the lesson. We hope you enjoyed crunching the numbers with us today. Have a great day and remember to vote, debate, and participate.